Not long after his release from jail, the man who was already wrongfully sent to El Salvador, and by the way, wrongly, it admitted to being wrongly sent to CICOT in El Salvador, a concentration camp that is a torture camp by this administration. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is now facing another deportation, this time to Uganda, based on lies spread by this administration. Garcia was reportedly detained on Monday at the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office in Baltimore. He had previously been sent to the notorious El Salvadoran mega prison back in March due to what they called an administrative error. Oh, yeah, we sent you to a horrific concentration camp where they tortured you mentally and physically due to an administrative error. Jesus. But was brought back to the United States after the Supreme Court. It took the Supreme Court to order Trump to facilitate his return. He did. He was able to return, but of course, ICE continued to threaten him with deportation. And, well, look, he got out of jail on Friday because he hadn't done anything wrong. He was being held to prevent being abducted and disappeared again. But they let him out, and he was able to reunite with his family. But now ICE has come and abducted him again. In a statement, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that ICE is once again processing Abrego Garcia for deportation, this time to Uganda in East Africa. Why Uganda? I don't know. Probably because it's horrible. Now, she said in a statement, quote, President Trump is not going to allow this illegal alien who is an MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, and serial domestic abuser and child predator. Wow. Wow. They're just throwing everything at the wall. To terrorize American citizens any longer. None of that was true. None of that's proven to be true. I mean, the most they could get him for was, I guess, maybe a domestic dispute with his wife. That's about it. Look, this man has already pleaded guilty to not guilty to migrant smuggling charges. Okay, so they're going after him and saying, "Oh, you're doing human trafficking. You're a human trafficker." Release the Epstein files. There's a lot of trafficking in that. Trump might have been involved in. I mean, they won't release that. But they're accusing Abrego Garcia of human trafficking with spotty evidence at best, right? Spotty. Once again, there was a 2022 traffic stop, which they based this human trafficking charge on. And not only that, but, and look, that did not actually lead to any charges at the time because they didn't have the evidence to do so. And he's not been charged over any allegations of child abuse. Not only that, but there's no real evidence that Abrego Garcia has any connection to MS-13. The reason that they're going around saying that, basically was unproven accusations, was because of a disputed informant. So an informant that came in 2019 and said a bunch of stuff. The information that was given by this informant has been disputed. So, I mean, there's that. Look, I mean, they're claiming that he's MS-13 because he has tattoos. Tattoos. That's it. And again, that's super, super weak, super thin. Okay. Look, they're just coming after this guy because they want to terrorize him and other immigrants. That's really it. Now, shortly after his release on Friday, the Maryland man was told that the Trump administration was working to come after him again to deport him. Sean Hecker, one of Abrego's attorneys, said the Trump administration had also offered him a plea deal that would see him deported to Costa Rica if he pled guilty to charges of human smuggling, which, again, he didn't do. So he's like, no, I'm not going to take this ridiculous deal that's going to see me deported. No. I didn't smuggle anybody. So what's wrong with you people? Now, outside of the ICE office, Abrego Garcia had his own message to other people, many of the immigrants who are also facing similar kinds of situations at the wrath of the Trump administration. In fact, he said to all the families who have also suffered separations or who live under the constant threat of being separated, I want to tell you that even though this injustice is hurting us hard, we must not lose hope. Yeah, and there you go. Another one of his lawyers, Simon Sandoval Mosenberg, said outside the Baltimore detention center that Abrego Garcia's legal team has asked ICE why their client was being detained in the first place, but did not receive any answers. Of course not. Of course not. Sandoval Mosenberg said that the ICE officer also did not say which detention center he was being sent to. Not only that, but he showed up to the ICE office under false pretenses, right? So they said, oh, no, come and show up. I mean, we got to interview you, as part of your conditions for release. And he's like, okay, yeah, of course, I'll show up. Well, this is what happens. This administration, they lie. They set traps for people to come arrest them. That's it. That's what they're doing. Sandoval Mosenberg said of that, quote, clearly that was false. Clearly. Now, in the last 5 minutes, he added, Mr. Abrego Garcia has filed a new lawsuit in the federal district court for the District of Maryland, challenging his current confinement and challenging deportation to Uganda or to any other country, unless and until he's had a fair trial. Yeah, all they're doing is asking for due process, which every person in this country is entitled to. See, one of the reasons that the Trump administration does not like due process, they hate it, is because they would actually have to supply facts. That he is an MS-13 gang member, that he did human trafficking. I'm pretty sure they don't have any evidence to prove either of these things, and yet, here's Ice Barbie coming out and smearing him, essentially. That's what they're doing. Our client, Hecker said, a man with remarkable courage reported to ICE this morning, as he was required to do, he was promptly detained. The government now seeks to deport Mr. Abrego to Uganda as punishment, notwithstanding that Costa Rica is willing to take him in as a refugee. The government's campaign of retribution continues because Mr. Abrego refuses to be coerced into pleading guilty to a case that should have never been brought. Look, this case is infuriating because, look, you can clearly see that they're going balls to the wall against this man to make an example of him, to intimidate him, to scare other immigrants into leaving the country and not standing up for themselves. And then, look, it's working. Unfortunately, over 1 million immigrants have already left this country this year, 2025. According to a new study by the Pew Research Center, there was a record of 53.3 million immigrants in this country in the U.S. in January. However, after Trump took office for the second time and then did 181 executive orders on immigration, now, at least according to June, that number has dropped to 51.9 million people. So, yeah, over 1 million people gone. Either forcibly deported or they have left. And that's it. Look, this is what they're doing, okay? And the center also had pointed to those executive orders that have targeted immigrants, including the arrival of new immigrants and the mass deportation of non-citizen immigrants. Now, that's important because, look, non-citizen does not mean illegal, okay? You can be a resident here, a legal resident of the United States, A lot of people, millions of people, are legal residents, but it doesn't matter to this administration now. They're being targeted and deported anyway. Okay? The majority of people that ICE is arresting are legal residents. They're not illegals. They're not undocumented. Okay? Many of them, by the way, haven't even been convicted of a crime. But it doesn't matter to them. The reality is the right wing does not want them here at all. They don't want them here. They want to get rid of them in any extrajudicial way that they can. First, of course, they're going to take away temporary protected status that was conferred upon many immigrants, taking away green cards. We've seen that already. And so they're basically taking large groups of people who were here legally, taking away their ability to be here, to live and work here, and then claiming that, see, we got illegals. We got them. No. It's absolutely disgusting what's going on. And look, all it takes to be caught up by ICE is just to be a brown person. If you're a brown person in America, that's all it takes for you to be profiled, arrested, and possibly deported, all while being smeared by people like Ice Barbie. It's just absolutely unconscionable and disgusting. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.